Speak to a lot of cyclists who start to get confused at this time of year, maybe had a really good summer of riding, built up some good volume, done some good distance there, had some really good rides. But as they start to now move into the autumn and winter, start to get a little bit confused or even worried that they're going to lose all of that fitness and form that they've now built up over the past few months. Start to potentially look at a little bit of how they can maintain that structured training, and with everything's out there, really start to get confused. Sprints, torque, VO2 max, tempo, zone 2 training, and just look at so much information that's out there. And actually, when starting to get confused with it, this is where I often find this contributes to potentially that consistency then really starting to drop towards the end of September, coming into October, and then leaves a massive gap with riding through to the end of the year, and leaves many riders having to start all over again in January, February of the new year, trying to regain what they've done in the previous summer. So today I really wanted to just share with you what you can do, really try to simplify things in terms of a training structure, a process, what you can do to be able to at least, and at very least, maintain everything that you've already now built up with your fitness and form this year. And if you're somebody who's watching this and you haven't actually been able to do much riding this summer, and you're maybe just starting to get into a bit of structure with your riding, then this is also going to really help you getting a good place now through the back end of the year, through Q4, so you can start next year in a good place. And as I say, for those who have got some fitness, at least maintain, so you can then start next year with at least the base that you've currently got and build from that and see some year-on-year progression rather than that yo-yoing, which I referred to earlier, which can sometimes occur. So let's get straight to it. Really going to simplify two terms that you may have heard before, okay? The first one, zone 2. So these are the two sort of forms of training, if you like, that I want you to really try and focus on now over the next 3 months, leading to the end of the year. Okay, so zone 2 is the first one, and the second one is VO2 max. So really, if there's anything else that you've heard out there at the moment, whether that be tempo, sprint work, threshold work, sweet spot, yeah, a lot of that stuff is good, but it's a bit more specific in terms of when you're potentially training for a type of event or a specific area of your riding and fitness that you're looking to improve. Okay, so if you're looking to really improve, sustained climbing, then you might want to do a little bit more threshold work. If you want to improve, obviously, your maximal explosive power, you might want to do some sprint work. But I find trying to work on all of these things at the same time, again, that's just where that confusion comes into it. So in terms of, like we've just said, if we're looking to actually just really maintain the fitness that we've got where you are right now, or try to just build some good base fitness qualities through to the end of the year, then these are the two types of training that I want you to really focus on. Okay, so we'll just start there with zone 2. Sorry, I've left my rubber over here. Let me just go and get it. Just come back there, sorry. So we'll start with zone 2. So let's just take the VO2 max out here first. Okay, so zone 2 riding, basically, what is it? I'm going to refer to power meter. If you've got a power meter, it's really doing any riding between, should we just say generally, 65 and 75% of your FTP. Okay. So this is a really nice way to actually ride through the week. So if you're somebody, I've done a video, I think it was last week or the week before, time crunch, business owner, executive, busy professional, and you've got a family, you may be quite time crunched with your riding. Now, the really nice thing about zone 2 training is you can do a 45 to 60 minute session and you'll get some really good benefits from that. What this is going to allow you to do is continue to hold at the aerobic base that you've already developed this year. Okay. And it's going to allow you to then actually get on the bike and perform some nice consistent rides. So you're not always getting on and really smashing yourself. You're not always really getting on and putting yourself fully to, maximum exertion when you're on the bike. So in terms of getting on the turbo trainer, maybe in the winter, if you do a lot of your riding indoors, this can actually be quite a nice bit of riding there to perform. Shorter session, put something on, maybe a bit of YouTube. You might have a bit of a film on there. You might watch a little bit of a documentary. And if you're doing this first thing in the morning as well, it's actually an easier type of ride or session to perform first thing because there's not much thought that really needs to go into it. If you train at 5 o'clock in the morning, a 45 minute to 60 minute zone 2 ride is fantastic because it's usually up in the morning, 5 o'clock, shoes are there, jerseys there, bib shorts are there, whatever it may be, on the turbo trainer, set yourself in between sort of 65 to 75% of your FTP, and just sit there, turn the pedals at a good nice cadence, maybe 80 to 90 RPM, nice sort of moderate cadence there, and you can get a really good quality session. Okay, it might not be the most exciting session, but it's going to really allow you to maintain that fitness without having to put too much thought into it. Really simple. And as I say, you might just have a little bit of music on, you might listen to a podcast. And I often do this. I find when I'm doing my indoor riding and it's a bit more zone 2 pace, I'll be looking at something that's maybe a bit more interesting as well on the laptop or the TV, or just listening to a podcast that's of interest as well. And certainly if that's an area of interest, you're almost killing two birds with one stone there. You're doing something for your fitness, and it might be something else that you're interested in, whether that's business, whether that's something else you're trying to learn, whatever that may be. It can be a great way to start your day. Okay, so as much zone 2 riding as you possibly can. I'd recommend, if you are time crunched, that you try to do, should we say, 2 as a minimum, 45 to 60 minute sessions a week. Of this, if you can do a little bit longer, that might be at the weekend. You can stretch that out to maybe an hour and a half if it's indoors, and that's where you start to maybe, depends how much you can tolerate indoor riding. If you can still get out and do some zone 2 riding, great. But targeting this intensity, performing this, really nice and simple, as I say, it's going to allow you to hold at that endurance and everything that you've built up there with it as well. And if you're trying to lose some weight, won't go into the nutrition side too much. I've done a lot of videos on fueling before, so go and check out the channel if you haven't seen any of those. But if you're trying to lose some weight, then this can also be done fasted, which potentially with the right fueling strategy then throughout the rest of the day can really be beneficial for weight loss or any body composition targets that you're also looking to achieve. Okay, so that's our first training modality there, if you like, or what I really want you to try and target. Keeping it nice and simple today. Just 2 things we're going to try and focus on now through Q4 to the back end of the year. So the second one, as I mentioned, and you've more than likely heard this term before, is VO2 max. Okay, now VO2 max, if you follow me for a while, big fan of this. Again, this is great as it's going to improve, it's going to enhance your body's ability to utilize oxygen. It's going to really keep your top end. So this is, if you think the zone 2, you might have been, when you were listening to me there, you may have been thinking, yeah, but if am I going to start to lose some of my top end there? So is my sustained power or climbing power going to reduce through only doing zone 2 riding? And yeah, it would do if you actually just did only zone 2 riding. Your endurance and your base would get really good. So that's why I think certainly for time crunch cyclists, it's important that you also keep a little bit of top end. Not to mention the research that's also coming out around VO2 max at the minute. The higher you can sustain your VO2 max through life, it's also really being associated with longevity, living longer, avoiding cardiovascular diseases, other diseases out there. So not only for performance, fitness, but also for health, long-term health. This is why you should really, in my view, everybody should be trying to do at least one VO2 max type of activity. We are in a really beneficial position as cyclists because we can actually perform some really good quality VO2 max sessions out of all sports without placing, a huge amount of load on the body, certainly compared to sports maybe like running or more impact-based sports. We can really target the VO2 max system and get some really good adaptations through that. Okay, so generally when we're doing any VO2 max sessions, you want to be riding at an intensity between 106 and 120% of FTP. Okay, and interval lengths will range from 8 to 3 minutes. Okay, so just looking at this, the longer the interval, the lower the percentage of FTP, so you'll probably be close to that 106%. There'll be a little bit of a crossover there with some threshold training there. The shorter the interval, the higher percentage of FTP, you'll then be closer to the 120%. Okay, the protocol, just to give you one straight away, 4 times 4 minutes at 115% is a great one if you want a protocol to follow straight away. Now, this is where a lot of that research has been done on VO2 max. Scientists, researchers who have been looking into VO2 max and cycling, they've really adopted this protocol, the 4 times 4 minute, and that's what they've used in the research, longitudinal studies, and have found not only has it improved fitness and performance, it's really helped with the health benefits I was mentioning there as well. Okay, 1 session a week of this. So we've got our 2-3 zone 2 sessions that we just went through there. If you can do those, it might be you can only do 2 zone 2 sessions. Your 3rd session of the week, please then make it a VO2 max session, trying to accumulate around 16 minutes total time at VO2 max. So basically total time at or between this intensity, 106 to 120% of your FTP. Just looking at that, you can straight away, 4 times 4 minutes, that's 16 minutes. That would get you to that 16 minutes, but you can break it up. You can do potentially 2 8-minuters. You can break it down and do some 5-minuters, whatever works best for you. And that's a good way to just mix up your training, keep that new training stimulus there in terms of trying to achieve that VO2 max input with it there. And that's your 3rd session or your 4th session. And if you now, I guarantee you, if you've come off the summer now and you're looking at what you should be doing, hopefully that has just straight away simplified it. Remove everything else for the time being. You can focus on maybe adding a bit more specific threshold, sweet spots, sprint work, torque work, low cadence, high cadence. We can look at all of that in next year, potentially when we're coming in closer to the spring, and actually work on those specifics a little bit more. But in terms of really just keeping something simple to follow and to ensure that you're still maintaining some good consistency, if you implement this strategy that I've shared today, I guarantee you'll be able to at least maintain where you are now. And if you haven't already been doing this structure, you will actually make some gains now through Q4. And as I say, if you may have not had the greatest of summer of riding and you're really looking to now use the winter, capitalize on Q4 or coming into the winter to make some good gains, then try this as well, as that will really help there. I hope you found that useful. Ben from My Cycling Coach, founder, lead sports scientist. Why do I make these videos? I've been doing it now for the past 10 years. The science, the practical application of research. We've helped over 500 cyclists lose 6 to 10 kilos while improving their FTP by 25 to 50 watts. Check out the testimonial link. It will be around here if you want to see some of those results. If you'd like to get in touch, you can book a call with us, free consultation we offer at the moment. If you want to maybe just chat through your goals, what you might be struggling with, and if we can maybe help you, then we'll try. And if we can't help, we'll always be honest and try and point you in the right direction. But yeah, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe, drop a thumbs up on the video if you found this useful, and I'll see you in the next video.